spouses. Rule number 2, please keep the center aisle clear at all times. This center aisle does run through the length of the train, and we ask that you stay out of it at all times, especially while this train is moving for your own safety. And rule number 3, in the highly unlikely event of an emergency, please let us call 911. We don't want 200 911 calls for the same emergency, and we know where we are on the mountain, and you do not. So those are the only rules I have for us today. As you do enter the train, if you wouldn't mind taking your seat, because I will need everyone seated for this train to begin moving today. Thank you.
At night I keep feeling like this when I'm dreaming.
And we didn't realize it's going to be this rough driving down the road.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 44 foot gladiator. So we're like 65, 70 feet long. Yeah. Yeah, we left the dog today. I'm glad. It's just what it is. One minute. They're really waiting for it. 2 minutes.
I can't guarantee we're going to see a lot of wildlife. It's kind of a luck thing. And there's a lot of room up there for them to roam, so they don't have to be anywhere where we can see them. There's a lot of space. But my last train, someone said they spotted a moose. I did not see it. But sometimes if we do spot an animal, it'll be kind of quick. It'll disappear.
Yeah, totally.
Quickly.
You can't stop the train?
So the most unusual animals we see are the moose, the bear, and, in the forest.
Oh.
So if anybody sees a moose or a bear, shout it out. Don't be afraid to shout.
I've never seen a bear in real life.
Oh yeah.
I've seen moose,
Yeah.
but never a bear.
We don't see too many bears from the train, but every once in a while we do.
Yeah.
You never know where they're going to be. They're free to go wherever they want.
Hell yeah.
And the moose, we don't see a lot of moose either.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Honestly, she had a hot dog on my bread. She just came out of there with a hot dog on this amazing bread.
They're one of the bosses making hot dogs in there.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
We made eye contact and I saw it.
26 cups.
Yeah, that's it. Looks familiar to me.
Engineer, you can close the doors. Everyone is seated and doors are closed. Engineer, you have the high ball. All right, everyone, as we do get moving today, if you wouldn't mind staying in your seats for just a couple of minutes, and all children in their seats and or visible, because I'm going to walk through the train cars to get a quick head count for us. Thank you.
Thanks. Skills. Really quick. I did this when I was a kid, but this is his first time doing it. Ooh. You know, I'm just gonna put my baggie up there as well.
The train we're on right now is brand new in 2021.
Oh, really?
This is a diesel electric, and we have two others just like this.
Wow.
We also have 4 of our older trains that we refurbished when we closed down to get a new track put in.
Hmm.
They are diesel hydraulic.
So each car drives itself.
No, we
This
have a
guy puts on the-
locomotive on the downhill end. That does all the work.
Oh, so
These coaches will go nowhere without the locomotive.
so basically pushes on the rear wheel.
Yeah, the engines are in the locomotive.
2:30.
30.
2:30.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it is nice to have a truck ride. I don't think I can't speak.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome aboard the Broadmoor, Manitou Springs, and Pikes Peak Cog Railway. My name is Izzy, and I'll be your conductor today, which means I'll be giving you some fun facts and little history stories as we make our way up the mountain today. I'll also be answering any questions you might have, but I'll be doing that on the way back down the mountain. So if you do have a question, feel free to just hold on to it, and I'll be happy to answer it on the way down the mountain because I'll be talking quite a lot on the microphone, and I might answer your question on the way up the mountain. Our engineer today is Jeff. Can everyone say hi, Jeff?
Hi, Jeff!
Jeff will be taking us all the way up the mountain today to an elevation of 14,115 feet on a track of 8.9 miles. We will be able to see some really cool things out the windows today, so if I can have everyone look to their left really fast. Or my left, your right. The other right, though. Okay, that's not going to work very well for anyone today. So from now on, when I see something really cool out of this side, it's going to be out the 2-seat side. And when I see something super cool out of this side, it's going to be out the 3-seat side. Does that work for everyone today? Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. As we do get rolling today, I'm going to go over our safety rules one more time for anyone who may have missed them. Rule number 1, anything you want to take home with you, please keep inside the train at all times. Rule number 2, please keep the center aisle clear at all times, especially while this train is moving. We ask you to stay out of the center aisle for your own safety, and this means that you cannot switch sides from the 3-seat side to the 2-seat side at any time during our trip today. And rule number 3, in the highly unlikely event of an emergency, please let us call 911, because we don't want 200 911 calls for the same emergency, and we know where we are on the mountain, and you do not. So once again, those are the only rules I have for us today, but we will get above the clouds here in a little bit, and the sun will be shining, and we're going up a mountain, and we're riding on a train, so it's going to be a pretty fun day for everyone. The Pikes Peak Cog Railway has been in operation for about 130 years. We've only been closed for one period during those 130 years, and that was between the years of 2017 and 2021. It was during this time we received $100 million from Philip and Schutz to completely overhaul and renovate the trains, the tracks, and the depot. We did remodel some of our older trains during that time, but we also purchased brand new trains from Switzerland, and you're riding on one of our brand new trains right now. Some of you may have noticed that some of you have windows on these brand new trains. If you do wish to open or close these windows at any time during our trip today, they are in your control for the entire trip, so please feel free to do so. You'll just grab both black handles and either push or pull at the same time to either open or close that window. Just be aware that as we do get higher up the mountain, it will only get colder and windier, so please be mindful of your neighbors if you do have that window open at any time during our trip today. Our trains do run all year round, which means that we are sending trains up and down the mountain even in the middle of winter, like in December and January. We're able to do this through the use of a snowplow, which is a little bit bigger than the snowplow you'd see on the roads. Our snowplow is a giant yellow machine that hooks up to one of our locomotives, and our section crew drives it before the first train of the day every day to make sure that the tracks are clear of snow and debris, which means that we can send our trains up and down the mountain when it is snowing, when it has snowed, or when it will snow.
There's a sign here with the 1 on it. That's a mile marker.
Oh.
It's 1 mile from the depot.
Gotcha.
So we'll have 8 of these. We would have 9, but the track is just a little under 9 miles.
8.9.
Yes, 8.9.
As we are looking out the window today, we should all be aware that recently we've been receiving reports of a nesting Rocky Mountain flamingo in the area. If we do see one today, it will be bright pink like most flamingos, and we've typically seen it around this area out the 2-seat side. So if you want to keep your eyes peeled out the 2-seat side for something pink, we might get lucky today.
Behind that rock.
I think I spotted some pink out the engineer's window at the front of the train, so if car number 1 wants to look out the 2-seat side for something pink.
That's a fake one.
There's no such thing as a
That one was sitting so still you almost thought it was fake. If you did happen to catch our flamingo out the 2-seat side, you may have noticed that it was sitting on a rock. And given the fact that we're on a mountain right now, we are surrounded by quite a lot of rocks. These rocks are unique to the area. They are known as Pikes Peak granite, and they are made out of a mixture of mica, feldspar, and quartz. These rocks are very fragile rocks, which makes them extremely susceptible to erosion, specifically one type of erosion known as ice wedging. Ice wedging occurs when water falls down in between the cracks of rocks, freezes, expands, and then breaks that rock into smaller pieces. We will be able to see a really good example of ice wedging coming up soon on the 2-seat side. We're looking straight across out the windows of the 2-seat side for a rock that looks like a diamond on a playing card. For car number 1, if you look straight across out your windows, you'll see Diamond Rock. And that'll be out the 2-seat side for car number 2 now as well.
It's just like a big hard sheet exhibit.
Collaterals, we are down to from the Golden River Group of Pittsburgh. They are on board. They're going to be heading down with train 22. Are going to ride down on train 21, and the head count is 244.
We will also be able to see some waterfalls on our trip today, and our first one will be coming up soon on the two-seat side. We like to call this one Rose Emma Falls because a long time ago, two sisters used to live in the area named Rose and Emma. If you have your windows open, you might hear the waterfall before you can see it, but you'll want to look straight across, if not a little bit down, out the two-seat side to see Rose Emma Falls. That'll be coming up here for car number 1 in just a second.
There it is.
Out the two-seat side, and you'll want to look a little bit down for Rose Emma Falls. And for car number 2, out the two-seat side. Now don't worry, three-seat side, we didn't forget about you. The next waterfall will be on your side, and we like to call this one Minnehaha Falls, and it is actually higher than Niagara Falls. Again, you'll want to look straight across out the three-seat side to see Minnehaha Falls, and it will be coming up here for the top of car number 1.
Behind a tree, and we get past the tree, we can see it. Right there.
Oh yeah, it is bigger than Niagara Falls.
And for car number 2, out the three-seat side, straight across. Now I said it was higher than Niagara Falls, not bigger than Niagara Falls. We are currently at 8,300 feet in elevation, which means we are 8,000 feet higher than Niagara Falls right now. We are able to send multiple trains up and down the mountain each day through the use of sidings. Sidings are tracks that run alongside our main line, and they allow one train to go up the mountain while the other train going down the mountain passes them on the side. As we come around this next corner, we will be passing a train on the three-seat side that is coming down the mountain. Because we're going up and they're coming down, if you want to wave to them or make a funny face, you'll probably never see them again.
Dispatcher, this is 326. Rolling through me.
So quick. I barely did.
And at this time, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to your seat neighbor, we'll be going up some pretty steep hills today, and it will be much less awkward to fall into someone if you know their name.
I'm Olivia.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Pleasure to meet you.
We are daring enough for 14,000 feet at 35.
Huh?
It's 35 degrees up there.
It's 35 degrees.
Sweaty.
I just brought this. I didn't know it was that cold.
And speaking of
Well,
steep
you're from
hills,
Seattle.
we'll
Remember
be
you're
going
in
up our
Seattle.
first 25% grade of the day today right now. We like to call this hill Son of a Gun Hill because back when this is a coal engine, the firemen would have to shovel large amounts of coal at a very rapid rate just to make it up this hill. When they would get to the top, the fireman would be exhausted, but he would look over to his engineer and say something along the lines of, "Goodness gracious, that hill was a son of a gun."
I do remember that. It'd be like that. You don't.
As we get to the top of Son of a Gun Hill, we'll be able to see another rock formation coming up soon on the 2-seat side. We like to call this one Prop Rock because it's a large rock held up by 3 smaller rocks, one of which has a crack down the middle. But don't worry, as long as that rock doesn't break for the next couple of hours, we'll be just fine. Prop Rock will be coming up out the 2-seat side for car number 1 now.
Oh, that's sketchy.
Crap already. What is
And for car number 2 out the 2-seat side. If you're looking at the 3-seat side, we start to see the remains of a log cabin. This log cabin used to belong to a fur trapper who lived in the area, but I think we can all agree that no one lives there now.
That reminds me of Red Dead. Like the mountain that you go to in the very beginning. Wasn't that what first? Or that was a.
Didn't know what it was. Yeah, it was our
Yeah, right. That's so. Oh, I'm not gonna tell you that.
Back in the 1880s, there was a one-room hotel. There's a one-room log cabin in the area known as the Halfway House Hotel. This place would offer lunch to hikers and anyone else who was trying to summit Pikes Peak at the time, and they actually got quite a lot of customers. This led them to expand to include 22 rooms, including a banquet hall, their own train station, their own U.S. post office, and even a one-lane bowling alley. Unfortunately, after 34 years in business, this place did burn down, and the only thing left standing today is a sign that we'll be able to see coming up soon on the 3-seat side that simply says Halfway House Hotel. This sign is under the windows and angled towards the train on the 3-seat side, so if you are facing me on the 3-seat side, you'll kind of want to turn around in your seat to see it as we pass by. And if you want a picture, you should have your phones ready now because we pass it a lot sooner than you think we will. It'll be coming up for car number 1 now. And for car number 2.
It's cleaning its antenna. Yeah, I think it's one of those hornets that doesn't sting. I think it is. But the it's not a stinger. It's a ovarian, maybe. Yes, it is. Me either. Here, I'm gonna look at it.
There is a waterfall.
Oh.
Waterfall on left.
We will see one more waterfall today at the
That's a
3-seat
train.
side. We have to call this one Pipe Falls because the water is pouring out of a pipe.
It is actually. That's a drain from Pikes Peak.
Oh, such children.
We will now be entering the tiny town of Rexton Park, which had a population of 4 people. If you look out the 3-seat side, you might see a giant hole in the ground. Car number 1 will have to look down towards car 3 out the 3-seat side to see it now. This giant hole in the ground is the largest hydroelectric plant west of the Mississippi, and it is still active today, providing power to 200 homes in the area.
Stop, Mississippi.
If you look out the 3-seat side and happen to notice a really long, windy dirt gravel path, this is the only road that connects Rexton Park to the next town over, which is a mere 60 miles away.
All been paused there, that's right.
All right, so now I have a really random question for everyone on board the train today, and I promise I do have a point in asking it, but is anyone traveling here from the state of Delaware today? Anyone here from Delaware? There we go, people from Delaware. We hardly ever get people from Delaware. We're glad you're here. Thanks for coming out. I bring up Delaware because we are currently in the Pike National Forest, and the Pike National Forest is so large that it could fit the entire state of Delaware in it with a little room to spare. Also in this forest, we will have the chance to potentially see some wildlife today. Because they are wild, we can't promise you anything or queue up any animals for you, but we can make you aware of what moves in this forest, so that if you do see something, you should hopefully be able to identify it. As always, if you do see any animals of any kind at any time during our trip today, feel free to shout it out so the whole train can enjoy it with you. Some of the animals we could see in the Pike National Forest include rabbits, foxes, skunks, porcupines, and turkeys, to anything larger like mule deer, mountain lions, moose, and black bears. There are black bears in this forest, but you should be aware that they can come in different colors beyond just black, including brown, black and brown, and blonde. But they are all still a type of black bear because black bears are the only type of bear that live in this forest. If you want to see grizzly bears or any other type of bear, you would have to go to the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo.
The zoo. We're looking like that. Not very well.
As a reminder, you are welcome to stand up in your seats at any time during our trip today. Just please don't cross that center aisle for your own safety. Just be aware that if you are standing up at any time during our trip today, our engineer Jeff can activate the brakes at a split second, and this train will come to a stop on a dime. This means that if you are standing up at any time, please be holding on to something, because if we come to a sudden stop and you are standing up, you might fall very forcefully back into your seat.
That was the
Get to use.
golden group that was on the previous train just before we're coming up here. Want to let you know that we are going to be taking them down. We would expect to get an emergency up here, so I didn't know if there's anything you need to relay to their group, because I know I think they all keep it up on. Yeah, we'll let them know. That train is down here, and
A lot of those in Massachusetts as well, in New England.
Anytime there's a clearing in the mountains, we tend to call it a park around here. Coming up on the 2-seat side, we'll be passing Deer Park, where there have been populations of mule deer that have made it their home in the past. Deer Park will be at the 2-seat side for car number 1 now, and for car number 2. If you look all the way out towards the edge of Deer Park, you might see some really tall pine trees with cinnamon color bark. These are known as ponderosa pines, and they actually only get that cinnamon color in their bark once they've reached 80 years of age.
I've heard of that ponderosa pine.
Some of the other trees we might begin to see at this time are aspen trees. Aspen trees are distinctive with their white bark with black spots, and they are native to Colorado. Aspen trees are also really cool because they're all connected by the same root system. This makes them one of the largest living land organisms on the planet, just behind fungi. Also, fun fact about aspen trees, if you rub your hands against the bark of aspen trees, you might come off with a white powder on your hands. And that white powder has similar chemical properties to aspirin.
What does?
Aspen.
What the heck? That's cool.
Instead of buying aspen, we should buy and go lick it.
Yeah, lick it whenever you're feeling bad. It's all natural.
You can call it organic medicine.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, wow.
If you are looking out the 3-seat side and happen to notice that a lot of trees are on the ground right now, don't worry, a lot of these trees were cut down intentionally. Because we are in a national forest, that means it is maintained by park rangers, and park rangers came in and cut down quite a lot of trees to help with wildfire mitigation. We had a really dry winter this year, which means we are setting ourselves up for a really dry summer, and summer is our peak wildfire season. So they cut down a lot of trees to help with wildfire mitigation, so that if a wildfire were to come through this forest, theoretically it would be easier to contain faster because there are fewer trees to catch on fire.
Keep watching both sides. It's a good place if we're lucky enough to see a moose.
All right, so we do actually have people riding the train today from Delaware, which is very exciting. But do we also have people riding the train from Wisconsin today? Anyone from Wisconsin? There we go, in the front of the train. I love it. Our founder was also from Wisconsin. His name was Zalman Simmons, and he first came to Pikes Peak to inspect some telegraph lines that he had installed. He had to take a 3-day donkey trip to get to the top of the mountain at the time, and he would later call this donkey trip the most uncivilized thing he had ever done in his entire life. However, he thought the views at the top of the mountain were so gorgeous that everyone should enjoy them, so when he returned to his home city of Kenosha, Wisconsin, he gathered up some investors, and they raised $1.5 million to build the first Pikes Peak Cog Railway. The first train did run in 1891. Does anyone want to guess how much a ticket back then cost for the train?
$1.
Hearing 5 cents, 75 cents, a dollar.
5 cents.
$5?
5 cents.
5 cents. 2 cents. It actually cost $5 for a ticket back then. $5 for a ticket back then, which might sound like a steal, but in today's money, that's equivalent to $173 for one ticket on the train. After Simmons died, his family sold the railway to Spencer Penrose, who is the original owner of the Broadmoor Hotel and Resort here in Colorado Springs, and we've enjoyed a partnership with the Broadmoor ever since. If you're looking at the front of the train right now, you might notice that another train is coming straight towards us. But don't worry, we're not going to hit this train because once again, we will be using our sidings to pass this train on the 3-seat side. Once again, this train is going down the mountain and we are going up the mountain. So once again, if you do want to wave to them or make a funny face, I'm sure they would appreciate it. And coming up on the 3-seat side, you'll see one of our old train cars from before our remodel. This train car is not in operation anymore, but it is on the side of our tracks now to serve as a shelter for hikers or for members of our section crew. As I mentioned earlier in our trip, we do have 2 types of trains running on our tracks right now. We have older remodeled trains, but we also purchased brand new trains from Switzerland, and there are a couple of differences between these trains. The biggest difference between these 2 types of trains is the number of train cars that they have. Our older remodeled trains have 2 train cars with passengers, while the newer ones, like the one you're riding on right now, has 3 train cars with passengers as well as 1 locomotive at the end of the train. The other big difference between these 2 types of trains is the engine on which they run. These newer trains run on diesel-electric engines, while the older remodeled trains run on diesel-hydraulic engines. The last big difference between these 2 types of trains is the speed at which they can go. These newer trains have a top speed of 15.5 miles per hour on the way up the mountain, and a 10 miles an hour on the way down the mountain. However, these trains are grade dependent, which means that they do naturally slow down when they go up a hill, so we hardly ever hit that top speed of 15.5 miles an hour because we are almost always going up a hill, given the fact that we're on a mountain. Because of this, our top speed that we usually hit on the way up the mountain is between 8 and 10 miles an hour. Our older remodeled trains can maintain a top speed of 10 miles an hour regardless of the grade that they're on up the mountain. So they are typically a little bit faster than these trains on their way up, but it's usually like a 5 to 10 minute difference, if that. On the way down the mountain, our older remodeled trains can maintain a speed of 8 miles an hour, so they are usually a little bit slower than these trains on the way down the mountain. But again, it's a 5 to 10 minute difference. Pikes Peak was actually named after a man who tried really hard to make it to the top of the mountain, but didn't quite get there in the end. In 1806, a man by the name of Zebulon Montgomery Pike was exploring the Louisiana Purchase with some of his men when they came across Pikes Peak. They thought it was 18,000 feet tall and they called it the Grand Peak at the time, but when they tried to climb it, weather did force them to turn around about halfway up, so they never did reach the top of the mountain. However, those who summited the mountain after Pike chose to name it Pikes Peak to commemorate him. Before it was known as Pikes Peak, it did go by a couple of different names. One of those names was James Peak, which was named after a 22-year-old botanist named Edwin James, who would later classify our state flower as the columbine. Before it was known as James Peak, the Spanish conquistadors called it El Capitan, which means the leader. And before that, the Ute tribe in the area referred to the mountain as Tavakava, which means Sun Mountain. If you look out the 3-seat side across the valley and through the trees, you might see some flat slabs of rock. This is where we believe the Pike expedition ended before they had to turn around about halfway up the mountain, so congratulations, you've officially made it higher up the mountain than the man it was named after. Today we call this area the Lion's Den because our park rangers have reportedly seen mountain lions sunbathing there before. Back in 1893, an English professor from Massachusetts was visiting the area. Her name was Catherine Lee Bates, and she took a carriage ride to the top of the mountain and thought the views along the way were so pretty that she decided to write a poem about them. When she returned to her hotel room in Colorado Springs, she finished that poem, and it was later set to music and called Materna, but you may now know it today as America the Beautiful. As we come around this next corner, we'll be able to see the views that inspired America the Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Inspiration Point. As a reminder, you are welcome to stand up in your seats, but once again, for your own safety, please do not cross that center aisle. If you do look out the 3-seat side all the way across the valley, you might see some red rocks down in the distance. That's Garden of the Gods. And then that city you see all the way down there is downtown Colorado Springs. And all the way out towards the horizon, that really flat part that you can see over there is Kansas.
Cool. My aunt said for lunchtime tomorrow he'll be there. Woo! It's good.
If you are looking out the 3-seat side all the way down in the valley through the trees, you might begin to start catching glimpses of a lake down there. This is Lake Moraine, M-O-R-A-I-N-E, Lake Moraine. But don't worry if you can't get a good view of it now. Once we get a little bit higher up the mountain, our trees will get out of the way, and we'll have a really unobstructed view of the lake down in the valley.
That's not good. No, not here. 14,000. I used to have a shirt in my house somewhere that my aunt got me when I was younger. Don't trust anyone below 14,000.
As our name suggests, we are a Cog Railway, which means that there are cogs underneath the train right now. There are 2 cogs underneath each train car with passengers, as well as 4 cogs underneath the locomotive at the other end of the train. These cogs work with the rack rail, which is the center rail on our track system, and they work like gears to get us up the mountain today. While normal ascension trains can only go up grades of about 4%, with our cogs we're able to go upgrades up to 27% today. Some of you may have noticed that our engineer Jeff is currently sitting at the front of the train. Once we get to the top of the mountain at the summit, Jeff will move from the front of the train to the other end of the train to the locomotive at the end of the train and drive us straight back down the mountain that way. This means that the train does not turn around at any time during our trip today, and we will be in the same seats on the way down the mountain as we were up the mountain.
Zip load nest.
But the wrong one.
As we do get higher up the mountain, our trees are beginning to change. Instead of primarily ponderosa pines and aspen trees, we'll see a lot more bristlecone pine trees. Bristlecone pines tend to thrive up here in the soil where most trees do not, and they're actually extremely old pine trees, with the oldest bristlecone pine recorded on this mountain at 2,200 years old.
You are time off from the depot at 1:22 p.m.
There's an animal there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what those are.
Maybe a little marmot.
Probably.
There's like a tiny little animal kind of moving around.
Is it a marmot?
One way to depict the marmot up in the rocks, the color of the marmot's fur is a little darker than the color of the rocks.
It is dark.
Yeah, it might be. You see it, the little thing like kind of moving up there. Or a bunny. A marmot or a bunny?
It has a tail, so.
There's an animal called the pike that's related to rabbits.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't have the long ears of rabbits, but it hops, kind of hops like a rabbit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's about the size of a large hamster.
Oh yeah, those are the ones.
For that better view of Lake Marine, if you look out the 3-seat side now down towards the valley.
Stuck under the rock.
You saw them? Cool. Ooh.
There's some marmots will stand up on the rock and pose for you. Some will dive under the rocks.
Oh yeah.
You didn't cue them up for this.
I'll cue them up. I've never found out how to do that.
Put them on the payroll. Can settle that. Isn't that crazy how just the trees like stop?
Lake Marine is the only naturally occurring lake on the mountain, although there are 9 lakes in total. The other 8 lakes are man-made, while Lake Marine was formed from a glacier. I do often get a lot of questions about whether there are fish in Lake Marine, and the answer is yes, but the answer is also no, you cannot fish there. This is a private access lake, so you do need a very special license, and you do need to talk to a very special person who knows someone 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 to even get access to that lake in the first place.
And,
At this point on the mountain, our trees have begun to die off, which means we are now at tree line, which sits at 11,500 feet on the
sometimes the
mountain.
animals will be
Tree
down
line is
there.
where trees begin to stop growing because the
down
conditions
there.
up here are not ideal for tree growth. If you look out the 3-seat side, you might see a mountain that's a really good example of tree line. This is Mount El Magre, and we also call it Calendar Mountain because it is 12,365 feet tall. And although our trees are beginning to die off at this point, we can still potentially see animals at this elevation, although what we can see will start to change. From here on up, we could potentially see Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. They like to hang out on the rocks and anywhere super unsteady, so keep your eyes peeled for them. Typically, I've seen them most commonly up closer towards the top of the mountain, but we can start seeing them anywhere from here on up. Also recently out of hibernation are marmots. Marmots are little animals that look kind of like gophers or beavers without the big black tail. They like to weave in and out of the rocks, and so sometimes you have to be quick to catch them, but sometimes they also like to just sit on the rocks and watch the train as it passes by. If you see any small birds hopping around on the rocks, those are pygmy nuthatches. And if you see any large blackbirds circling up above, those are Arctic ravens. Arctic ravens can be seen 365 days of the year, and they also have the intelligence of a 7-year-old, so do with that information what you will.
There is a marmot there.
There's a marmot.
It's on the rock. On the other side, it's vanishing now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I see it. Wait. Hey.
Yeah, you can see it now.
It's like not right, but
So in a normal winter, this gap in the ridge here, we call windy cut. In a normal winter, snow will fill
And at
this
this point on
gap.
the mountain, we are now
Top to
reaching
top.
12,000 feet in elevation to a place on the mountain that we like to call Windy Point. It gets its name for the reason you'd expect it to get its name. It gets extremely windy up here, with the highest wind speed recorded at 180 miles per hour. However, it could have been a lot higher than that because it was at that speed that the wind broke our recording equipment.
Those two guys on the hill over here are part of our track crew. They're building a snow fence up there to help cut down on the depth of the snow in windy cut.
Coming up on the two-seat side, we will be passing a stone building. This stone building does not have anyone living in it right now, but it did used to house some members of our section crew, including one of our old section crew leaders and his wife, and they did give birth to their son in that building. And as some of you may have noticed, we are slowing down a little bit. We will be coming to a stop here on one of our sidings, so at this time I will need everyone seated at this time. I will need everyone seated while we come to a stop on one of our sidings to wait for a train to pass us on the three-seat side. This time the train is not here yet. They are coming down the mountain, so we'll be stopping here for just a couple of minutes to let that train come down the mountain and pass us on the three-seat side. We will then begin moving again once it passes us. We are now stopped on the siding, so if at this time you do want to stand up and take any pictures, you are more than welcome to do so. Once that train comes around the corner and I see it coming, I will get back on the microphone and ask everyone to take their seat again, but until then, feel free to wander around the train cars and take any pictures you might want.
Stop deciding and many decide copy.
do you want to come over here and get some pictures?
It's, yeah. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. I'm pretty sure we could. I know they have like
320 going down to passenger gap 1 or 92, that is 192. That includes 3 hydrants with collateral and 2 passengers from the 1040 train. Train 21 down from the tower with a head count of 192. That includes 2 hikers with collateral and 2 that were left off from the other train. Dispatch, copy.
Dispatcher, this is train 26. Stopped on the siding at Windy.
Train 26, stop at the siding. We need dispatch, copy.
Everyone on the train is like,
What time we can expect?
Pardon?
In what time we can expect?
This train, I'll be here in a few minutes. And then we'll head to the summit.
the train might have its own service. It's not. I don't even see it.
I can tell by the angle.
Huh? No, I'm sure you just had like a reaction.
Sometimes when we're lucky, we'll see elk, and they'll usually be down by the trees. If anyone has binoculars, anyone? Take a look. Oh, do you have some binoculars? Good. Just take a look down by the trees, maybe down in the valley, out ahead of us and over that way. Maybe that big bare ridge over there too. Look over on that. You're gonna go at the edge of the trees and see if you see anything. We didn't see any bighorn sheep this morning, but it's always possible that we can see them. They roam around during the day, so they never stay in one place.
What?
I think we briefly saw an eagle this morning. I think it was either a golden eagle or an immature bald eagle. I think the bald eagles, they don't get the white feathers till they're about 3, I think.
Right, yeah.
I can't wait to work out.
Huh? Oh,
There's nothing moving there. Yeah, it's coming.
There it comes, yeah.
hey.
That's one of our older trains.
Rolling up now through
Yeah, it does.
My head did.
Yeah.
Alright, everyone, I do see our train coming around the corner, so at this time I will need everyone to begin making their way back to their seats, because as soon as this train does pass us, we will get moving again. But in order for that to happen, I will need everyone seated.
Yeah, I totally went up to the mountain.
As this train does pass us on the 3-seat side, if you do watch it as it passes by, you might notice that it looks a little bit different than the train that you're riding on right now. That's because the train that will be passing us on the 3-seat side is one of our older remodeled trains. You can see the difference between the train cars as it passes by, and it does look a little bit different than the one you're riding on, both inside and outside. Once again, this train is coming down the mountain while we're going up, so once again, if you do want to wave to them or make a funny face, I'm sure they would love it.
Yeah, that looks like the one Yeah! That's the one I was on when I was a kid.
Everyone is seated. You have highball whenever you're ready. All right, everyone, as we do get moving again, I'd like to use this time on the mountain to go over some super important summit information with everyone today. So once again, just like down at the all attention and all eyes and ears on me for a couple of minutes, that would be great. All conversations pause and all attention on me. So once again, we're going to do the thumbs up game to make sure that my microphone is still working. So car number 1 at the front of the train, if you can still hear me, big thumbs up. Car number 3 all the way at the back, if you can still hear me, thumbs up. And car number 2 here in the middle, thumbs up if you can hear me. Fantastic. If you want to go ahead and take out your watch or your phone or whatever you use to tell time, we're going to match it to my watch, which is a magic watch because it's always right. Right now, my watch currently says it's 1:38. If your watch or time device also says 1:38, go ahead and set an alarm for 2:30. Set an alarm for 2:30 because this train will be leaving the summit at 2:40 sharp. Just like any other public mode of transportation, like a bus or an airplane, this train will not wait for you if you are late. So once again, our alarms are set for 2:30 because this train will be leaving the summit at 2:40 sharp. Just a couple other quick reminders about the Summit House before I let you guys go again. There are restrooms at the Summit House, so if you do have to use those at that time, we recommend doing so right away so that you don't miss out on the views or the train because you're waiting in line. There is also food for purchase at the Summit House, but none of that food, including donuts, coffee, and hot chocolate, is allowed back here on this train. So any food purchased in the Summit House must be finished in the Summit House before boarding again. This is an active rail, so we ask that you stay off the tracks at all times. This train will be at the summit the entire time you are at the summit, so if you do wish to return to the train at any time for any reason, please feel free to do so. If the doors are closed when you return to the train at any time, they will still be open for you. You just might have to open them yourself by clicking the button on the door. And one more time, our alarms are set for 2:30 because this train will be leaving the summit at 2:40 sharp. And because repetition is good for everyone, including myself, can someone remind me what time our alarms will be set at? 2:30. What time will the train leave the summit? 2:40 sharp. And will this train leave without you if you are late? Fantastic. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We can now go back to looking out the window.
You want to change?
If you look at the 3-seat side, you might notice that our terrain has begun to change as we've gotten higher up the mountain. We are now in Arctic tundra, which grows so slowly that it can take 100 years to grow 1 inch. This means that even though the last carriage rides were in the 1900s, you can still see some of the old carriage line routes in the grass below at the 3-seat side. We will now be approaching a point on the mountain that we like to call the saddle. We call it this because it's the only point on the mountain where you can look both east and west by simply turning your head. So at the 2-seat side, we'll see east towards Kansas, and at the 3-seat side, we'll see west towards the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. The weather on this mountain can be a bit unpredictable, and we can get snowstorms even in June and July. This is true because when we talk about the weather at the top of the mountain, we typically say it's 30 to 40 degrees colder up there than it is down at the depot. So that means even if it goes as low as 50 degrees on a summer night down at the depot, that means it could be 20, 30 degrees up top at the top of the mountain. So if it rains at night over the summer, it could be snowing at night up at the top of the mountain. This means we can have snow on the mountain year-round, technically, and we actually did have a snowstorm in the first week of June, actually. As we come around this next corner, we're going to play a little game of I Spy. We're going to be looking at the 2-seat side for a pickaxe sticking straight out of the ground. It will be kind of close to the train, and it will be coming up here in just a few minutes for the 2-seat side, and I'll explain why here while we're looking for it. Once again, you can stand up within your seats, just please hold on to something in case we do come to a stop. When we were first building these tracks, we did use dynamite to blow up some sections of the mountain, and we did use donkeys to carry that dynamite from place to place. Unfortunately, during the building of these tracks, there was an accident at one time in which the dynamite exploded early, killing one donkey and 2 of our section crew members. While the section crew members were taken back to their families, the donkey was buried here on this mountain, and it is still underground today with a pickaxe marking its grave. So once again, we're looking at the 2-seat side for a pickaxe sticking straight out of the ground, kind of close to the train.
Donkey grave is coming up right over here.
Ah, yes.
A marker in the back, right there.
And for car number 1, I spy with my little eye a pickaxe on the 2-seat side. And for car number 2 at the 2-seat side. If you remember how big the rocks were at the base of the mountain, you may have noticed that they're getting a little bit smaller as we've gotten higher up. While we did use dynamite to blow up some sections of the mountain, many of these rocks are so small due to that form of erosion we mentioned earlier, known as ice wedging. If we remember, ice wedging occurs when water falls down in between the cracks of rocks and then expands as it freezes, which breaks that rock into smaller pieces. As we get higher up the mountain, ice wedging occurs a lot more frequently because it will snow, and then when that snow melts, once it freezes again, it will expand and which breaks those rocks into smaller and smaller pieces, which is why the rocks are getting smaller and smaller as we get higher and higher. Now, whenever I talk about rocks on the mountain, I usually get a lot of questions about rock slides and what happens if rocks get on our tracks and what do we do when we encounter rocks on our tracks. The answer is yes, rock slides do occur, but not nearly as often as you might think they might happen. However, rocks do get on our tracks sometimes, and if those rocks are small enough, the conductor, me, would get outside of the train and move those rocks off of the tracks so that we can continue making our way up the mountain. If the rocks are too big, however, then our section crew will come up in a train behind us, and they have the tools to cut up those rocks into smaller pieces, which makes them easier to move, so that we can get them off our tracks and continue sending our trains up and down the mountain. If you look out the 3-seat side all the way out across the valley on the horizon, you can just barely make out a mountain range in the distance. These are the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Their name means blood of Christ, and they get this name because when the sun rises over them in the morning, they give off a blood red color. If you keep looking at the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, but then go about halfway down in your line of sight out the 3-seat side, then you'll see a mountain that looks like it's had its top cut off, with sides bare and raised kind of like a pyramid. This is Cripple Creek and Victor Gold Mine. It is one of the most lucrative gold mines in the world. It first opened in 1993, and it produces $2.2 million worth of gold every day to this day.
If you want to see that, a satellite view of the mine, you can go to Google Maps and go satellite, get a picture of that. It's not a current picture, it's like from about 5 years ago. And you could even get a view of the top of Pikes Peak, and that's from 5 years ago too, or 5 or 6 years, and that's when they were still building the summit out.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it, a work in progress. Sometimes in the summer, a bear will come up here to get tired of the heat from below, and we don't see them very often, but this is almost about the time of the year they come up.
Does anyone want to hear a ghost story today? There we go. Lots of enthusiasm on that one. Perfect. I love it. In August of 1911, we had a couple from Texas visiting the area. They were here on their honeymoon, and they thought it would be fun to try and climb Pikes Peak for it. Because it was August and it was warm, they figured it would be a good time. But unfortunately for our Texas couple, the weather on this mountain can change at the drop of a hat. And storm clouds rolled in, and a blizzard came upon our couple, and they did freeze to death that day. When they were found the next morning, they were looking through the man's pockets for identification, and they found a note in that man's pockets, and that note read, "Have fun in Colorado, try not to freeze to death." As we come around this next corner, we like to call it Ghost Corner, because the spirits of that Texas couple have reportedly been seen wandering around here trying to get to the top today.
Occasionally we'll see sheep in the grassy areas over there. I don't see any right now, but you might use your binoculars to see if kind of scan the grassy areas. They kind of like to lay in the grassy areas, and also they eat the tundra. That's their food.
There's something down there, right? No. No on the rocks here.
If they stand still or they're laying down, hard to see.
As we come around Ghost Corner, if you look straight down at the 2-seat side, you might see a wooden cross coming up. This wooden cross marks where our Texas couple met their fate, but they were not married here, they were taken back to Texas.
So right up
Again, it will
here,
be straight down to the 15 side. That'll be coming up for car number 1.
right there. That's where the frozen couple were found.
And for car number 2, straight down on the 2 seat side.
Hey, there's a mama.
Ah! You're right. Do you see?
There's a marmot
Oh,
on the
is
right
it
side.
sheep?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, marmot is there.
And we will now be going up our steepest grade of the day today at 27%. So at this time, I'm going to ask everyone take a seat and remain seated until we come into the summit platform at the top of the mountain. There are 3 ways to get to the top of the mountain. The first way is by Cog Railway, which you are riding on right now. The second way to get to the top would be by driving up on the Pikes Peak Highway, which we can see out the 3-seat side, and there might be some cars on it here in just a little bit. The Pikes Peak Highway runs from the base of the mountain to the top. It is 12.42 miles long with 156 hairpin turns and no guardrails. This means the highway is not for the faint of heart, but it is home to the second oldest auto race in the nation, just behind the Indy 500. This race is known as the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, and it actually just happened this Sunday. While it can take an average person in a normal car about an hour and a half to drive the highway from start to finish, the current record for the race stands at 7 minutes, 57 seconds.
I know we did the Magandala.
This record was set in 2018 by a French racer named Romain Dumas. He was the first person to break the 8-minute barrier, and while originally he was a driver for Porsche, he broke the record in an experimental electric Volkswagen. He did run the race again this year, but his time was a little bit slower than his record-breaking run at 8 minutes, 18 seconds.
If you'd like to see that record run, just look on your phone.
The first way to get up
Go
Pikes Peak
to,
is by Cog Railway. The
record,
second way to get up the mountain would be by
International
driving
Hill
up the mountain
Climb
like we
record
can see
run.
these cars doing
And,
out the 3-seat
scroll
side.
down.
The third way to get up the mountain would be by hiking up the mountain. There are hiking trails up and down the mountain. The most common one is Bar Trail, which is 13 miles long and can take the average hiker 8 to 12 hours to complete from start to finish. And as we continue going up our steepest grade of the day today, I'm going to go over our summit information one more time. As a reminder, our alarms are set for 2:30 because this train will be leaving the summit at 2:40 sharp. There are restrooms at the Summit House, so if you do have to use those, we recommend prioritizing them so that you don't miss out on the views or the train because you're waiting in line. There is also food for purchase at the Summit House, but none of that food, including donuts, coffee, and hot chocolate, is allowed back here on this train. So please finish any food purchased in the Summit House before boarding again. There are also no trash cans on this train or outside of the Summit House, so if you do have to throw anything away, please do so inside the Summit House before boarding the train again. This is also an active rail, so please stay off the tracks at all times. This train will be at the summit the entire time you are at the summit, so if you do wish to return here for any reason, please feel free to do so. If the doors are closed when you return to the train, they are still open for you. You'll just have to open them yourself by clicking the button on the door. They will close automatically behind you. And one more time, just for my sake, our alarms are set for 2:30 because this train will be leaving the summit at 2:40 sharp.
Me too. Huh? Me too.
As we come into the platform today, we will be exiting out the 3-seat side today. However, I'm going to ask that everyone remain seated until I give the all clear over the microphone. If we can all remain seated until I give that all clear over the microphone, because while it may feel like we've come to a full, complete stop, we might still be moving just a little bit. So once again, we will be exiting out the 3-seat side today after I give the all clear over the microphone.
my
He is
God.
posing.
He's so cute. He says, me?
Oh, there's a Mormon.
Me? There's been a couple marmots now.
No hands.
First up,
I'm Gary.
See what we did the other day.
All right, that's our signal, everyone. At all clear. At this time, you are now free to stand up and exit out the 3-seat side today. Please watch your steps to get onto the platform, and welcome to the top of America's Mountain.
Really windy.
Dispatcher, this is train 26. We're stopped on the west track on the summit.
Train 26, stop at the west track of the summit. Just gonna stop you.
Yeah, yeah.